We're going to start this half hour here with a closer look at the top political headlines this week. And joining us, our ABC News political director, Rick Klein. And for the first time here on GMA Saturday, contributing political correspondent, Rachel Bade. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Welcome.
Absolutely. All right, Rick, let's go ahead and start with you. And let's talk about Donald Trump. Maine and Colorado both removing him from the primary ballots. And then you're talking about other states perhaps trying to do the same. But then you have some Republican-led states that are trying to remove President Biden from the ballot. What's going on here? It seems like a mess.
Yeah, it's chaos. I mean, we're only 2 weeks away from the voting starting, and we don't know for sure who's going to be on the ballot, who's not going to be on the ballot. As a legal matter, the Supreme Court has to take this up pretty quickly to settle it and give some kind of a nationwide standard, some guidance to states. But as a political matter, it is not cutting the way you might think. You might think that the other Republican candidates would love not to have to face Donald Trump. Actually, all of Trump's opponents, including Chris Christie, who's very critical of Trump, think this is a bad decision. They think this should be left to voters. And in fact, this is just feeding Trump's argument. It actually couldn't work better for him in some ways politically because it feeds the idea that this is somehow rigged. And the other Republican candidates, either willingly or not willingly, are kind of playing into that narrative as we go into January.
And speaking of some of those other Republican candidates, Rachel, let's bring you in here because Nikki Haley, she had this momentum coming into Christmas. And then she's asked a seemingly simple question about the cause of the Civil War, leaves out the word slavery, facing this backlash now. She's tried to clarify, but what could this do to her campaign down the stretch?
Yeah, talk about shooting yourself in the foot at the wrong time. This gaffe couldn't have come at a worse time for Nikki Haley. She's had this momentum, as you mentioned, in her campaign, overtaking Ron DeSantis in the early states, seeing her polling going up. This could really stall that and, make voters, alienate voters who are looking for a Republican to vote for who is not named Donald Trump. It also very much feeds into this criticism that people who don't like her have about her, that she is wishy-washy on things like abortion and her position on Donald Trump, that she doesn't answer questions directly, and that she's just trying to be all things to all people. And that's why you see people like Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis really seizing on this blunder to try to halt her momentum at this critical time right before voters head to the polls.
So many of the candidates trying to seize on that moment. Rick, with the voting in Iowa, in the Iowa caucuses starting January 15th, what's the predicted game plan for those trying to stop Trump?
Yeah, it's not easy. And none of these candidates have a direct opportunity or a lane where they say, I can beat him if only this happens. But it does start in the early states. Ron DeSantis is all in on Iowa. He's got the support of the prominent evangelical leaders and also the governor there. If he's able to finish at least a strong second in Iowa, he can make the case that he's the one to face down Trump. New Hampshire is just 8 days later. There's an ABC debate right in between, guys, and it's a big opportunity for Nikki Haley and Chris Christie. A lot of pressure on Chris Christie, maybe even drop out before that. He says he's not going to do it. But the two of them are kind of battling it out to have that one person standing against Trump once again. But even if one of those things happens, there's no guarantees here. Donald Trump is up so big in polling. He could easily have this nomination wrapped up by March if things stay the way they are right now. Of course, we always know to expect the unexpected.
And I know that you're going to keep looking at all of those numbers. Rachel, let's go back to you because what are the surprises that you're looking for in 2024?
So hard to predict in politics these days. Two things. First of all, I'm watching which candidates drop out and where especially their voters go. The Nikki Haley folks, her allies, have this theory that if Ron DeSantis does poorly in Iowa, he'll drop out. His voters will actually go to her and give her this momentum before New Hampshire. Rick mentioned Chris Christie is also under this pressure to drop out. It's not an unfair bet that if he does, that his voters would swing to Nikki Haley, who has similar politics. Can the fall of both of these men sort of be the thing that boosts her to be a real threat to Donald Trump? And of course, on the other hand here, we also have to keep an eye on Donald Trump's legal issues, right? If he is convicted in any of these sort of criminal trials across the country, that would totally upend the political world as we know it and scramble 2024 and make all of this entirely unpredictable again.
We do know in Iowa, anything can really happen.
Yep.
Right.
So it'll be in just a few weeks left before we get to it. So it should be interesting. Thank you both. We really appreciate it.
That's right. Rachel Bade, Rick Klein, thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.